Before you even try to understand these words, pause. Do not rush past this moment. There is something holy hiding in the quiet right before meaning arrives. I know you felt it. That strange stillness. That tightening in your chest, like the air itself leaned closer. This is not noise. This is not coincidence. This is the place where heaven lowers its voice instead of raising it. You were not supposed to hear this loudly. You were supposed to feel it first. I am speaking to you now, not as thunder, not as fear, not as pressure. I am speaking as one sent to stand close enough that my words feel like your own thoughts, only calmer, steadier, truer. You heard the words already, even before they were spoken. Watch what I do next. Those words were not a threat. They were not a warning meant to frighten you. They were a promise wrapped in restraint. Because if you knew what was already moving, your heart would not be able to hold it all at once. You have been looking at your life and asking why nothing seems to shift, why the same weight keeps pressing on the same places, why prayers feel like they disappear into the ceiling. You have wondered quietly, carefully, if you missed your moment, if you waited too long, if your obedience came late. Listen to me now. Nothing has been late. Nothing has been wasted. Nothing has escaped notice. What you have been calling silence was coordination. What you have been calling delay was protection. What you have been calling loss was separation from what could not go with you. You were not being ignored. You were being prepared without being overwhelmed. There are moves God makes only when the heart is ready enough not to run away from the result. And you are closer than you think. You have been standing at the edge of change, but not the kind that announces itself with noise. This change begins with rearrangement inside you, tiny, almost invisible shifts in what you will no longer tolerate, in what you no longer beg for, in what you quietly release without needing closure. That is how you know it is real. If God had acted earlier, you would have mistaken the gift for punishment. If God had answered sooner, you would have clung to the wrong version of the miracle. If God had moved faster, you would have credited your effort instead of divine timing. So heaven waited. And while you waited, things were happening that did not require your participation, only your survival. Do you know how many times you almost broke and didn't? How many nights you held on with nothing but breath? How many moments you stayed when leaving would have been easier? That endurance was not accidental. It was evidence. You were being taught how to stand without leaning on what was about to be removed. Now hear this gently, because fear likes to twist holy words. Watch what I do next. Does not mean destruction is coming for you. It means exposure is coming around you. It means doors you forced yourself to keep knocking on are about to close so cleanly you wanna feel the impact until peace arrives. It means conversations you dreaded will either never happen or will resolve themselves without your defense. It means what was hidden, what worked against you quietly, what benefited from your confusion will no longer have cover. Light is not always dramatic. Sometimes it is simply undeniable. You are about to see effortless separation where you once needed explanations. You are about to feel relief where you expected grief. You are about to gain clarity where you prepared for chaos. That is how God moves when the soul has already suffered enough. The time has come when you no longer need to prove that you survived what almost broke you. There was a time when your worth seemed measured by how much pain you could endure without collapsing, how many storms you could stand through without losing your faith. You were taught that struggle was the language of growth, that pain was the admission price for divine favor. You were told you must lose before you gain, be stripped down before being rebuilt, and that suffering was the only teacher capable of shaping wisdom. But now, something in your soul knows that season served its purpose. It taught you what it came to teach. It stripped away illusions, cleared the fog of dependency, and lifted the weight of who you once thought you had to be. But it does not get to define the new season you are entering. It only gets to be part of your memory, not part of your prophecy. You are stepping into a chapter that does not demand exhaustion as proof of effort, or pain as proof of purpose. You are leaving behind the version of yourself that believed transformation must always come through fire. The next move God makes in your life is not about teaching you through suffering anymore. It is about honoring what you have already learned in the fire, watering what still remains, and awakening the seeds that have been waiting under the ashes. You are not being tested now, you are being trusted. Watch what happens when you stop chasing answers and start receiving outcomes. Watch how solutions begin to assemble themselves, how the right doors respond to your peace rather than your panic. There is something divine that happens when you loosen your grip, realizing that the very thing you were trying to control was the thing blocking your release. Sometimes God waits until your hands stop trembling before placing the blessing in them. You do not have to chase what already recognizes you, you only need to stand still. And you will notice, things begin to resolve themselves quietly. What once felt tangled will begin to unravel with grace. What seemed impossible will begin to ease its way into Clarissa, not through confrontation, not through force, but through revelation. People will reveal themselves without the need for argument. Circumstances will shift without the sound of battle. And you will see, perhaps for the first time, that authority has changed hands. You no longer live at the mercy of chaos. You no longer answer to fear or scarcity. The pressure has lifted because life suddenly became simple, it has lifted because you have remembered who you are. This is what alignment feels like. It isn't flashy or loud. It doesn't announce itself with trumpets or thunder. Alignment is quiet. It is the steady pulse beneath the noise, the calm heartbeat of a soul in sync with divine timing. From the outside, it might look uneventful, but within, it is power. From within, it feels like breathing again after holding your breath for years. You might not see fireworks, and that's the point. You don't need fire anymore to know you are alive. What you will feel now is steadiness. That word might not sound extraordinary to the world, but if you lived through chaos, you know it is holy. You will wake up one morning and realize you are no longer bracing for impact. You notice the way your spirit no longer flinches at silence, the way your heart doesn't tense at stillness. You realize you are waiting for the next blow, because some part of you finally knows God has already moved. The storm didn't kill you, it recalibrated you. Every delay, every closed door, every breaking point wasn't punishment, it was construction. And what comes next will not demand that you convince anyone of your worth. It will not ask you to prove what you carry. It will simply recognize you. This is the sacred shift between chasing and receiving, between striving and standing. God isn't setting you up for another test, He is setting you in place. What is ahead of you recognizes the you that was forged in fidelity and purified by patience. That is why impatience had to be drained out of you, drop by drop. That is why desperation had to loosen its grasp. You needed to learn how to be still without giving up, how to hope without begging, how to expect without rushing. You had to learn what peace feels like when it isn't attached to outcomes. Because what God is about to unfold cannot be hurried, cannot be shaped by fear, cannot be edited by anxiety. Divine timing is clean, it doesn't beg for belief, it simply arrives. Why the atmosphere feels strange right now. You are somewhere between the old and the new, between the unraveling and the unveiling. The old patterns feel tired because they are losing their charge. The things you once ran to for comfort now feel hollow because you have outgrown them. Your spirit feels heavy because Ita is shedding, and hopeful because it knows something unseen has already begun. You standing in the sacred middle ground between release and recognition. And though it does not look dramatic, this is where destinies pivot. So, watch. Watch how the old burdens lift without scenes or closure. Watch how peace arrives without needing permission. Watch how confusion dissolves not violently, but completely and how light begins to show itself exactly where you thought there was only shadow. The mysteries that frustrated you are beginning to make sense in ways you didn't think possible. The people and doors that walked away were not rejection they were redirection. The silence that once frightened you is now the same space where God whispers. This is not the time to chase change with frantic steps, to broadcast your faith in loud declarations, or to stand on the defensive explaining why your patience has not yet crumbled. The season has shifted into something quieter, more profound. This is the moment to stay present truly present in the exact place where you stand. Stillness is not emptiness, it is not the absence of motion or meaning. It is the sacred space where everything necessary is unfolding without the clutter of your interference, without the strain of your striving, without the weight of your need to control the timeline. When the divine voice whispers, or perhaps speaks in the silence itself, oh watch what I do next it is not a dismissal of your involvement. It is the gentlest of invitations to release. Not because heaven requires your absence, but because your willing surrender is what finally clears the atmosphere, allowing unhindered space for divine presence to move freely. Think about how long you have carried the burden of making things happen. How many nights you lay awake rehearsing plans, rewriting scripts in your mind, calculating every possible outcome. How many mornings you rose with determination clenched in your jaw, ready to wrestle life into submission. That was not wasted time. That was training. Every push, every effort, every season of grinding against resistance taught you something irreplaceable, the exhaustion that comes when human hands try to force open what was never meant to be forced. And now, in this new chapter, the lesson has ripened into mercy. The work is no longer resting in your palms. It never truly was. Recognizing that truth is the purest expression of grace you will ever receive. Because when you stop gripping so tightly, blessings that once felt blocked begin to flow toward you like water finding its natural path downhill. Your energy has finally learned the art of non-resistance, and in that learning, an entire era of ease is being birthed. So stay right here. Take a slow, deliberate breath. Let it fill your lungs completely, then release it without hurry. You have not missed your moment. You are not arriving late to some cosmic appointment. You have not been overlooked in the grand distribution of favor. You are not forgotten in the shuffle of lives that seem louder, shinier, more obviously blessed. You are precisely on time. Every delay that once felt like punishment was, in reality, divine coordination silent threads being woven together behind scenes you could not yet see. Every detour that pulled you off the path you had mapped out was carrying you toward revelation you could never have found on the straight road. Every chapter that closed with a painful snap of finality was not an ending without purpose, it was preparation, the necessary clearing of space so the next page could turn without tearing. Consider the things you believe were stolen from you, the opportunities that slipped away, the relationships that dissolved, the dreams that appeared to die stillborn. None of it went unnoticed. The one who counts every sparrow falling knows the precise weight of every loss you have carried. Nothing was wasted, even when it felt like wreckage. What remains in your hands now is not merely survival, it is maturity of the deepest kind. This is not the maturity that can be taught in seminars or earned through checklists. It is the slow-blooming wisdom that only comes from living through the fire, from walking the long road of disappointment and still choosing to rise each morning with an open heart. You have become someone who can hold both joy and sorrow without letting either one define you entirely. That is a rare and holy thing. In this stillness you are cultivating, something remarkable begins to happen. Recognition arriva, not first from the applause of people, not from likes or promotions or public validation, but from heaven itself. Your spirit begins to feel deeply known. The prayers you whispered in the dark corners of your room, the ones you were almost too tired to finish, are being acknowledged in ways that settle into your bones. The efforts you poured out when no one was watching, when no one could see the tears mixed with your labor, are being seen. And because they are seen by the one whose gaze matters most, a shift occurs in the atmosphere around you. The right opportunities no longer require you to chase them down busy streets. They begin to approach you quietly, almost shyly, as though drawn by the calm frequency you now carry. This is how divine flow truly operates. It does not meet you in the volume of your striving. It does not respond to the loudest voice in the room. It finds you at the frequency of your peace, in the steady, unhurried rhythm of a heart that has finally learned to trust. The next season of your life will not necessarily arrive with thunderclaps and dramatic fanfare. Instead, it will move through quiet doors that open almost without sound. You will notice subtle confirmation, a conversation that lands exactly when you needed it, a resource that appears without explanation, a sense of rightness that settles over you like soft sunlight. These breakthroughs may feel gentle at first, almost easy, and that gentleness might make you question whether they are real. But pay attention to their permanence. What arrives in this season will not be fragile. It will not require constant maintenance or endless defense. You will watch, almost in wonder, as things that once demanded enormous effort now begin to move fluidly, as though the universe itself has exhaled and stepped aside to let you pass through. This is what it feels like when resistance finally steps. Methodically removing the very things that have been fighting against you for years. The invisible weights, the lingering accusations, the old patterns of self-sabotage, the generational echoes that kept pulling you backward, they are falling off like dead leaves in autumn, not with dramatic noise, but with simple, undeserved grace. One ordinary morning, without warning or celebration, you will realize the warfare has ended. Not because you finally won through superior strength or cleverness, but because the conflict ran out of access. The door it once used has been sealed from the inside by peace. You are not standing at the edge of your life, waiting for some invisible signal to tell you it is finally allowed to begin. You are already inside it. You have been inside it all along. Even the moments that felt like pauses, delays, or detours were part of the living, breathing movement of your story. Nothing has been suspended. Nothing has been wasted. The quiet you feel now is not an empty space where something should be. It is a full space, dense with meaning, like the hush that settles over the sea after a storm has exhausted itself. That stillness is not absence. It is recovery. It is the earth exhaling. It is your soul realizing it no longer has to brace for impact. There was a time when silence frightened you. When the lack of noise made you wonder if something had gone wrong, if you had been forgotten, if momentum had slipped through your fingers while you were paying attention. You learned to associate movement with worth, effort with safety, noise with proof that something was happening. But life has been gently undoing that belief in you. It has been teaching you, slowly and patiently, that some of the most important work happens when nothing looks dramatic on the outside. Seeds do not announce themselves while they break open underground. Bones knit themselves back together without applause. Hearts heal in the dark. This strange calm you are learning to live inside is not stagnation. It is not a holding pattern. It is the sacred pause between chapters, the moment when the page turns but the next sentence has not yet revealed itself. There is a deep inhale happening here, one you are not forcing, one you are finally allowing. And in that inhale, life is reorganizing itself around you. Details are being arranged. Alignments are being shifted. Conversations you have not yet had are being prepared in other people's hearts. Doors you thought were sealed shut are being loosened quietly, without spectacle. Even now, as you read these words, divine order is moving with a steadiness that does not rush and does not forget. It works while you rest. It works while you wash dishes, while you stare out of windows, while you sit with your own thoughts and feel the unfamiliar sensation of not needing to fix anything immediately. It works while you simply exist, without performing, without proving, without explaining yourself to anyone. This is what trust looks like when it has grown up. Not the anxious kind that keeps checking the clock, not the frantic kind that tries to control outcomes, but the grounded kind that knows when to be still because stillness itself has become an act of faith. So breathe again. Not the tight breath you learned to take when you were afraid of being disappointed, but a full, intentional breath that fills your lungs all the way down. Notice how it feels different now. There is more room in your chest than there used to be. Less pressure. Less urgency. The air does not get stuck the way it once did. That is not your imagination. Space has been made inside you. Space where fear used to live. Space where old grief once curled up and refused to move. You did not create that space by forcing yourself to heal faster or be stronger than you were. It happened because you stayed. Because you endured. Because you kept showing up even when you felt hollowed out. You have walked through fire. Not the dramatic kind people like to romanticize, but the slow-burning kind that tests your patience, your hope, your sense of self. And you came out the other side not destroyed, but altered. Softer in some places. Stronger in others. More discerning. Less willing to abandon yourself for the sake of comfort or approval. You learned, through experience rather than theory, that endings are rarely just endings. They are thresholds. They are invitations to release what no longer fits so something truer can take its place. You have also learned that miracles are not always loud. They do not always arrive with sudden reversals or obvious signs. Sometimes they come quietly, almost shyly, in the form of peace where anxiety once ruled. In the form of a day that passes without the familiar heaviness pressing on your chest. In the form of a simple realization that you are okay right now, even if everything is not yet resolved. That whisper you heard a euro o piece, be still a euro, was not a command demanding obedience. It was an offering. And you discovered, perhaps to your own surprise, that it was enough. More than enough. You are living proof that timing is not cruel. That it is not random or careless with human hearts. Rebuilding does not always require noise or witnesses. It does not always demand that you explain your process to the world. Sometimes rebuilding looks like rest. Like choosing not to react. Like allowing yourself to enjoy a quiet morning without guilt. Like trusting that what is meant for you does not need to be chased down or wrestled into place. There is a kind of surrender that feels like giving up, and there is another kind that feels like coming home. You have begun to taste the second kind. The kind that is full, honest, sometimes trembling, but no longer resistant. The kind that stops arguing with reality and starts listening to it. And in that listening, grace begins its quiet work. Not the flashy kind that seeks. There is a kind of patience that does not strain, a patience that does not tremble in waiting, but breathes quietly within the knowing that what is meant will come not hastily, not violently, but in perfect timing. This is not the patience that grips the clock or measures worth by how quickly things unfold. This is patience baptized in faith. It is soft, supple, and deeply rooted in gratitude. To stay patient this way is not to suppress longing, but to let it rest in the hands of grace. You do not have to rush toward what is already making its way toward you. You do not have to ache yourself into becoming. The becoming is already in motion. Give thanks for the miracles that do not sparkle under loud applause but arrive quietly, disguised as small shifts within you. The moments no one else witnesses but you feel deeply. The way your spirit no longer rises in panic when something feels uncertain, the way you now meet disappointment with calm rather than collapse. Give thanks for that steadiness. For the gentleness that has begun to color your reactions. For the ways you have learned to protect your peace without closing your heart. Gratitude transforms even the smallest softening into holy ground. Perhaps you have noticed how different you are now. Not louder or more confident on the surface, but quietly assured beneath it all. You have boundaries where once there were only bruises. You now say no without guilt and yes without fear. You no longer bargain your worth against the moods or opinions of those too distracted to see your gold. This is not arrogance. This is alignment. You are finally learning that to honor yourself does not dishonor anyone else. It simply means you have remembered where your light comes from. These are not small changes. They are sacred revolutions taking place beneath the skin. They may not be visible to the world, but heaven notices. Each softened reaction, each moment of quiet restraint, each decision to walk away rather than argue. These are victories of the soul. You are cultivating peace in places that once only knew survival. You are building an interior strength that does not depend on applause. You are finally becoming grounded enough to carry the blessings preparing to meet you. So stay still. Not because nothing is happening, but because everything is. Stillness is not stagnation, it is sacred alignment. Just as rivers carve canyons not through rushing but through relentless consistency, you too are quietly shaping the landscape of your destiny. The most profound transformations take place beneath the surface. Where roots strengthen before the green appears, where foundations are being poured while the world above is silent. Some of the most important work of your life is happening right now, in the unseen layers. Threads of purpose are intertwining where your eyes cannot reach. People you've never met are being guided toward moments that will one day meet yours, like puzzle pieces finally fitting together. Hearts that once felt distant are softening through struggles that will make them ready to walk beside you. This orchestration is divine, delicate, and far beyond anything your human planning could arrange. What you think is stillness is really strategy. Heaven a kind of strategy. You are not forgotten in this pause. You are being fortified. The silence isna t empty eta s gestational. Something is growing, even if the soil above shows no sign. So let yourself trust the hidden work. Trust that divine wisdom is arranging people, places, and moments with precision. What seems like delay is often protection, what feels like being left behind is often being positioned just right. Life will shift, and it will do so differently than before. It won't burst in with chaos to prove its power, it will slip in softly, almost unnoticed. It may arrive in the soft ritual of your morning tea. In a phone call that changes the direction of a week. In a sudden peace that settles over you where tension used to live. That is how alignment reveals itself quietly, gracefully. Grace will not wrench you into place, it will open the door that was already waiting for your calm hand. And in that moment, you will recognize that all the waiting was never wasted. It was holy calibration. What awaits you isna the result of desperate striving. It will not be earned by exhaustion or by proving your worthiness. It will come as naturally as breath, because it will belong to you by divine appointment. When it happens, you will not need to shout about it. Your peace will be the announcement. Your stillness will be the testimony. People will sense something has shifted, even if they cannot explain why. That is the quiet language of grace. Grace changes everything it touches. It will rearrange the furniture of your life without asking permission. Moving out what is no longer compatible with your truth and restoring what was meant for you from the beginning. It heals differently than the world teaches, not by erasing the past, but by redeeming it. The very places you used to feel weak become the places where your light shines through. The cracks, once shameful, become stained glass through which divinity glows. You will notice it first in the way you think about yourself. Grace will make comparison lose its grip. You will wake up one morning and realize you no longer need to chase. You no longer need to beg for belonging because belonging has always lived inside you. The dignity you thought you had to earn through achievement will be restored as something that was never actually lost to only forgotten. Where confusion once clouded your spirit, there will be clarity. Where anxiety once lived like a permanent tenant, peace will make its home. Grace will teach you that you do not need to strive to be worthy of rest. You do not need to measure your progress against anyone else's timeline. You will breathe differently not as someone running out of time, but as someone carried by time's rhythm. And perhaps the most beautiful transformation grace brings is the art of receiving. Many have learned how to give until depletion, but few have learned how to receive without flinching. Grace will invite you into that art. It will say, you are allowed to accept the good freely. You do not owe life compensation for joy. You do not have to apologize for the peace that finally visits. You do not need to postpone celebration until you've earned it. Grace is not a salary, it is inheritance. You are allowed to receive love without guarding your exit. You are allowed to let it pour over you without calculating how to repay it. You are allowed to let yourself be still and simply held. This does not make you lazy or ungrateful. It means you are finally remembering what it means to trust. To let yourself be carried by something larger than effort. To believe that goodness has chosen you on purpose, not on condition. What is unfolding for you right now is not a pause on progress but preparation for purpose. The quiet is not punishment, it is refinement. The waiting is not wasting, it is weaving. Heaven is sewing together the next chapter in delicate strands that demand stillness, not struggle. What feels like delay is actually divine synchronization. The timing has to be this precise, because the story you are stepping into involves more than just you. It involves hearts, seasons, and places being made ready in coordination. And one day soon, when your soul has fully learned rest and your patience hums with peace, you will walk right into the moment that everything shifts. It may happen so gently that you almost miss it. A conversation opens a door. An idea ignites into opportunity. Someone speaks words that answer the prayer you had long since stopped repeating. And you will realize the change didn't come because you chased it, it came because you were ready to hold it with grace, not fear. When you reach that moment, you will understand that grace does not reward perfection. It honors presence. It flows not toward the loudest effort but toward the quietest surrender. You stayed through the hard nights. You believed when belief trembled. You surrendered instead of grasping. That is why grace found you. That is why it can stay it recognizes a soul that no longer resists its care. So remain here a while longer. Let the peace that has begun to settle actually sink. You don't have to rush toward the next lesson. You don't have to prove you've healed fast enough. Let this calm become part of your heartbeat. Let it remind you that being still is not failure, it is participation in sacred timing. Peace, after all, was never meant to be earned by conquering chaos but invited by releasing control. Let yourself rest in the truth that you are seen even when silent, known even when uncertain, loved even when you have stopped performing. The divine has not forgotten you, it is weaving your name into new alignments right this very moment. There is wisdom writing the next line of your story, one that sees beyond your current scene into the full tapestry of what is to come. And as each thread falls into place, remember, you are not late. You are not behind. You are in rhythm with eternity. The next page is not written by your anxiety or fear of missing out, but by the same grace that turned empty space into galaxies, chaos into cosmos. Trust that power at work in you. It has never been careless. When the next quiet miracle arrives, you will recognize Ida Euro, not because it will be loud, but because your spirit will exhale in familiarity. You will not need to announce it, your peace will speak for you. Your calm presence will be your testimony. The steadiness in your heart will radiate louder than words ever could. And those who once questioned your stillness will see the wisdom of your waiting. So breathe a little deeper. Stay here a little longer. Rest in the knowing that nothing real has ever been lost, only transformed. You are exactly where you are meant to be. Everything necessary for your next becoming is already happening, quietly, faithfully, beautifully Euro, just beneath the surface.